Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marketing Monday. I'd like to flash you back 2019. The Philadelphia 76ers and the Toronto Raptors are in Game 7 of the NBA playoffs Eastern Conference semifinals. There is 4 seconds left on the clock of this Game 7. Keep an eye on Kawhi Leonard. He gets the ball. 2 seconds left.
Simmons, is this the dagger?
Bounce, bounce. Now, I'm not a basketball expert, but that is probably, given that it's the only one to ever happen in a Game 7, the greatest buzzer beater of all time. It's certainly the greatest buzzer beater that I had ever seen until I started work on a Marketing Monday about the best marketing of 2023, and this came in at the last moment. Now this is a buzzer beater! 3 days left in the year, and the Pop-Tarts marketing team scores a completely pure, no downside, new media, social media savvy marketing win right at the buzzer. Edible mascot at the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Not only is this deranged, but we got to hear one of the darkest sentences I've ever heard during a sports broadcast.
You just saw the edible mascot. He came out of a toaster, a giant toaster. Well, here's the sad part of the story. After the game, he will be devoured, he will die, and he will be his own last meal.
The universe canon is quite clear. In fact, they even had a handler on site.
Strawberry demanded to feed me a Pop-Tart, and I could just hear these little grunting noises coming from inside the suit. The Kansas State players immediately began trying to eat the mascot to lick his frosting off, but Pop-Tarts do not live to be licked.
They've made it very clear that the lore of it is that the Pop-Tart loves being eaten.
It was sad to watch the Kansas State players and coaches rip into Strawberry's flesh and toss it around. And say congratulations to Kansas State.
Oh, God!
And to Strawberry.
It's horrifying. Well, it turns out, as horrifying as this looks, it was shockingly popular on social media. I saw 50 plus tweets about it that all got over 10,000 likes, some getting 50, 80, 100,000 likes. It blew up. It was massive on TikTok. It was massive on Instagram. It did well everywhere. By the way, all of this got way more traction than the game itself, which is basically a nothing bowl game. They got millions of views, all this stuff, and it was all fan created. Again, their own personal stuff did fine, but it was the fan reactions and memes about it that all did amazing. It saved Lizzie here's life. I was having an absolutely miserable day in which I wanted to both sob and break stuff. Strawberries exactly what I needed. Google Trends of just Pop-Tarts, not even Pop-Tarts Bowl, hit all-time highs in the United States, and sales up from 800 million in 2022 now to 1 billion in 2023. So dreams really do come true. This was a shockingly weird, dreamed up ad campaign, but it actually did really well. It responded to what works on social media, which is kind of like weird and participatory. And as I mentioned in this Snack Wars video, Marketing Monday, about 3 months ago, Kellogg's this year split into 2 companies. Now, I thought this was pretty stupid, but the goal of it was to put all of their snack products under one brand, Kellanova, and have that company be fiercely focused on just marketing snacks. And it turns out they may have gotten pretty good at it. Not only did this do well, but it rolled out as part of a larger, well-received ad campaign.
Pop-Tart's dream to be eaten anywhere at any time will finally come true, thanks to the Toast Thinger.
They've been running this stuff, so it's all hitting the same time, and sales are up, and Pop-Tarts is doing shockingly well. They have no clear competition. Even Cheez-It tried to get in on the action and make their own mascot pop out and say, I'm a non-edible mascot. This one didn't really do that well. People were not interested in the Echo Fighter. But all of this really stems from the innovation over at this company, Duolingo, which has been the pioneer in mascot-based marketing that really turned around and led to some thriving growth on social media for this brand. They did many months of marketing on TikTok, which was just boring translation-based humor. It was like people showing different words and translating, and all of it got no views. And then one day, basically, they broke this mascot out and posted this.
He's escaping! The killer is escaping!
And that got 6.3 million views, and they never looked back. Again, at the end of the day, this is a language translation app that verifiably doesn't even work. It's like, there's like no evidence that it's really good at teaching you shit at all. And yet the user base continues to grow. They've created an incredibly gamified app interface that keeps people hooked to it. And they've grown to a $9 billion company in 2023, which is why a lot of people are trying to jump in the mascot game. Now, that being said, while Pop-Tarts successfully emulated this and Duolingo's the classic, there were some fails. Whenever brands see something good, they eventually glom onto it until they destroy it. And 2023, it's not all wins for mascots. I want to give a fail to Old Spice, normally a good marketing company, which attempted to launch this guy, Swaggy Spice. You may not have heard of him, and that is because after debuting, despite the fact that he is a gigantic piece of deodorant with a gold chain and sunglasses and a backwards hat, he talks like a corporate drone. I always had big dreams thanks to my confidence-inducing fragrance and odor protection, but never expected to reach the pinnacle of deodorant stardom with Old Spice. Shout out to my good-smelling friends and family who believed in me as a young deodorant stick with one dream, to deliver smell-f confidence to guys everywhere. They attach it to a ad campaign about smell-f confidence. Remember, man, your man could smell like? They used to be on top of the game. Smell-f confidence, disaster, this thing disaster, fail of the year 2023. However, we're not done with sports-related marketing wins. This one, unintentional, but still equally impressive. The Detroit Pistons and Wingstop had a partnership where you could get 5 free boneless wings if the Detroit Pistons ever won a game. This is a pretty normal fast food brand sports team type partnerships. Taco Bell has those many teams. It's common. Unfortunately, what happened next is that the Detroit Pistons never won. They went 20 games without winning, 21 games without winning, then eventually 28 games without winning. During this time, their fans are chanting, "Sell the team" at home games.
Proved to be a bit of a silver lining for the Pistons. The 117,
they're wearing bags because they're sad, avoiding being seen.
Oh boy, here we go. Sell the team, they're saying. The unknown comic.
So nobody's getting the wings. However, it turns out that made this marketing promotion from basically forgettable to incredibly memorable. Wingstop trended every single week as everyone complained that they couldn't get their Wingstop rings and use it to make fun of the Pistons. It did better and better and better. And then when they finally broke the streak,
second remaining, it's a 2-point game. All I got to do is just get it in bounds. Bogey gets it, and there we go.
Yeah! Anyway, when they finally won after 28 straight losses, the story wasn't really about them. Social media was just people talking about how they could finally get Wingstop. Wingstop was the big story. The Detroit Pistons have won a basketball game. 5 boneless wings, you are mine. Detroit Wingstop employees were overwhelmed. I don't feel good for the employees who probably had one of the worst days of their life working fast food at that point. But it was great for Wingstop, especially because fine print of the deal is like you had to spend $10 to get the 5 wings free. So, again, it's all profit for them. Unintentional or not, they capitalized well, and it turned to one of the biggest marketing wins of the past year. Speaking of sports-related wins, I have an insane one to give you now. This is one I never thought I'd say, but I'm going to give a win to EA, because EA finally found someone greedier and more corrupt than them. You guys know the game FIFA, right? Well, it turns out the organization FIFA is even worse than EA, and key to this year, even stupider. Because FIFA, corrupt as they are, sitting on their ass, making $150 million a year from EA for just letting them slap the name FIFA on all these games, decided, you know what? We want more. Out of the blue, they came in this year and said, we want double. Actually, specifically, they said, we want $1 billion every 4 years, in addition to what you're already paying us. So an extra $250 million a year just for letting us put FIFA on the front. And it turns out this may have been a miscalculation, because EA thought about it and then said, nah, changed the name to EA Sports FC and had no problems at all. Because it turns out in the past, when sports organizations have tried this on gaming companies, they were the middlemen between the gaming company and the rights to the players. The real important thing is that you get to play as Ronaldo and Messi and all the famous players, right? But it turns out EA had already gone to the teams directly and negotiated all of these deals. They only needed FIFA for the name FIFA. And when FIFA asked for this much money, they just said, fuck it, rebranded to FC, launched, sales were up. Nobody even cared. Every FIFA player knew what it was. It's the same fucking game every year. And they saved themselves a ton of money every year paying to FIFA. And now a ton of people over at FIFA are pissed off and sad they lost this free money revenue source they've been depending on for a decade plus. It's actually a hilarious win. I mean, it's actually just a pure awesome. I hate to give it to EA, but in this case, I do. Speaking of football or soccer-related wins, one of the best ads I saw last year was this.
Ah, c'est passé. Oui, c'est passé.
Oui.
Bien sûr que c'est passé. Maintenant, faut que ça aille au bout.
Allez.
Ouais, c'est bien joué. Il n'y a plus qu'à la pousser.
Allez.
Il n'y a plus qu'à la pousser. Voilà. Là, il y a un bon ballon de contre à jouer. Oh, le geste d'ailleurs. Ah, la tête piquée.
Oh, bien aimé.
Superbe.
Elle est belle cette équipe.
Ouais, c'est ça.
Anyway, it was a pretty clever ad. It had a good had a positive message. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm giving this a win because, you might call this an ad with purpose. And I generally am not a fan of when brands try to add purpose to what they're doing. This one made sense for the product, and it was, I would say, a win. It was a rare win. Especially because many brands try to stand for something, do a purpose-driven ad campaign, and then the second they get any pushback, they immediately abandon it. So nobody's happy. Nobody on any side is happy. The people that don't agree with that purpose are super pissed, and the people that finally said, okay, maybe you're standing up for something I agree with, are now also pissed. It's an L on both sides, and 2023 was littered with examples of brands tepidly trying purpose stuff, then backing away. And if you're gonna wade into those waters at all, be ready to take a stand, otherwise you're fucked. Again, rare examples throughout history, not in 2023, but Nike did this ad, stood by it, stock went up, everything did great. They understood their audience, but if you're not gonna stand by it, you're gonna end up with a lot of wishy-washiness and problems, as evidenced when Kid Rock came and
Fuck Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch.
This was a big story in 23, big marketing story. Bud Light had his chance to stand on business. They immediately backed down. Instant cowardice. Had a dip for most of the year. Turns out they own so many beer brands. In the end, none of it even mattered. And I think both sides were a little wishy-washy here because Kid Rock went back to drinking Bud Light. He was caught drinking it later that year. And then when asked about it, said, all right, man, let's move on. So the whole thing was relatively short-lived, but there was so much panic and desperation and wishy-washiness from Bud Light that it just was avoidable stress. One of the biggest culprits of just corporate flakiness that I felt I needed to call out was all of the greenwashing. Again, greenwashing is not just companies, especially unhealthy food companies, throwing green labels on things to try and seem healthier than they are. It's companies like H&M putting ads like they're more conscious, and then immediately finding out that 96% of the claims they made in their ads did not hold up. That means basically you were trying to lie every time and fucked up a little bit. Delta put out an ad saying they were carbon neutral since March 2020. Immediately hit with a lawsuit. It's a complete lie. Companies just lied all the time. But the worst example to me is a company that didn't even lie too much. They had some positive efforts towards sustainability, but they were so goddamn smug about it. It's been my worst big budget ad of the year.
Mother Nature, welcome to Apple. How was the weather getting in?
This was a like 8-minute, extremely expensive Apple Mother Nature campaign where they spent the entire ad glazing themselves.
We're operating on 100% clean electricity.
It was so smug and so bad, especially when not even all of the claims in the ad are true. I guess all of these companies operate by American rules where we never check, but the EU does check. The EU checks, and it wasn't even true, especially when not a year ago, Apple had finally gotten rid of child labor. It took them 3 years to fully cut ties with child labor factories. The takeaway of this ad is like, we can get a green earth just by you keep buying Apple products. No sacrifice at all. Everything's good. Just keep buying. But that being said, I have to give a win to Apple. They still had a fantastic year. They're the most valuable company in the world, and they have the most valuable brand. This iconic logo is recognizable worldwide. And one of the great stories of 2023 that I think on the fail side was companies saying, oh, we have an iconic brand too. Let's get rid of it. HBO Max turned to Max this year, confusing grandmas everywhere. But that wasn't the worst rebrand of the year. I'm not going to spend too much time on the next one, but I think we all know it. This was a masterclass on bad rebranding in 2023, but we've spent many videos talking about it. I just feel bad. And the most recent story, again, not news. Advertisers continue to leave, and it's all looking like they're not going to be able to make their debt payments going into 24. But we'll see. However, there was a win on Twitter, and that is, unlike Threads, actually has users. And one of the unique things about Twitter that happened in this year, it's one of the greatest marketing wins I've ever seen, is this simple tweet by a guy named Bigolas Wolfwood. He's not a famous person. This is a guy who has about 50,000 followers and runs a Trigun fan account. And one day he wrote this tweet. Read this. Do not look up anything about it. Just read it. It's only like 200 pages. You can download it on Audible. It's only like 4 hours. Do it right now. I'm extremely serious. All this was a random person giving a very authentic recommendation. And it turns out that in a world full of ad bullshit, people almost intuitively pick up on authenticity. Somehow this touched a nerve. People read this, they liked it, and they wanted to check it out. Even the author read this tweet and said it was perfectly written. And so this got 20,000 retweets, 141,000 likes, and led to the novel rocketing up the Amazon charts. Thanks to somebody called Bigolas. Bigolas is officially more effective at selling books than winning a fucking Pulitzer Prize. Down here at number 6, Pulitzer Prize winning Demon Copperhead. This one, a guy tweeted about it in a really compelling way. And this is kind of a joke. I'm kind of making fun here and just saying this one-off thing. But if you think about what this means, that is the age we live in for marketers, where all of your money and spending and ad campaigns and getting Mother Nature and doing all this are less effective than one shred of authenticity on social media. Recommended by Bigolas is about to become the Michelin star of books. And a company that leaned into this idea well of allowing things to get a little kooky, a little crazy, to allow customers to talk to each other about your product was McDonald's this year, who did a ostensibly family-friendly Grimace birthday. People started making their own content about the Grimace Shake.
Just got the Grimace Shake from McDonald's. Happy birthday, Grimace!
I'm gonna try it right now. Happy birthday, Grimace. That's not bad.
Again, normally companies wouldn't be okay with that, but McDonald's understood that the rules of the game had changed. They leaned into it. This got hundreds of millions of views. The Grimace Shake was phenomenally successful, and they understood. So it was a win. I mean, it was smart. The only fail of the whole situation is that I had to watch Stans drink one. But the winner of all of this is brands realizing that people like Stans, aka content creators, had a pretty good year. They were actually pretty good at speaking, not even authentically, just more authentically than brands to consumers. They were just 1% more relatable. And so brands had to start figuring out, especially this year, it's already been too late, but this year especially, how to work with content creators. And I want to give a win to Hilton Hotels, who made actually one of the most clever ads I saw all year. And rather than go their usual route of trying to make some boring ad, they tried to make a 10-minute TikTok where if you watched all the way to the end, you got prizes like free Hilton Honors Rewards points or free trips. And they did it in the style of,
would you watch a 10-minute TikTok? No.
Well, you should.
The entire 10 minutes is cut into very short 5 to 10 seconds TikToks that all seamlessly blend together.
No.
Good. And this was the brainchild behind it was an influencer. This is the guy, Baron Ryan. They didn't come up with this themselves. They got him to do it. He came up with the idea.
This is the shape of traditional storytelling. It starts with lingering action, climax, conclusion. But with TikTok and shorter attention spans, this is the new story shape. It starts with a climax, lingering action, conclusion. So would you watch a 10-minute TikTok?
Look at this.
Well, that depends on if you can hold people's attention, not for 10 minutes, but for 1 minute at a time. Not even that, for 3 seconds at a time. Hold it for the first 3 seconds, then the next. Do that 200 times, and that's a 10-minute TikTok.
Anyway, pretty clever. One of the more clever social media big brand activations that I saw of the year. But again, not all participation can go 100% well, and sometimes creators cut out the middleman and make the product themselves. Case in point this year with Mr. Beast asking fans to do the work for him of cleaning up the presentation of his Feastables bars at Walmart. At first, people said, yeah, I was just in Walmart, I noticed the display and I fixed it. How cool is that? And then people started to say, this is kind of whack. Hey, Mr. Beast, I caught this man after he bumped into a Feastables display at Walmart. I beat him on the street and now he's on life support. Shall I pull the plug, sir? And then it got outright antagonistic. Mr. Beast, I will continue destroying your chocolate displays until you pay me $100,000. People would like to shame Mr. Beast for this, but Austin, and this is his true opinion, Mr. Beast asking his fans to make his product more presentable is not child labor. It is the bare minimum pledge of fealty you as a mini beast can do. And for the record, the children do yearn for the Walmart aisles. Unfortunately, that funny fail has led to an actual win, which is a heartbreaking in itself fail. Bear with me, you'll understand as soon as I show you the next picture. Logan Paul had a fantastic year. Unfortunately, this whole social media craze, influencer-led product stuff really does work, making a phenomenal amount of money on products like Prime, which has surpassed $1.2 billion in sales, putting it at a very close number 4 in the overall sports drink market, right behind Powerade. Other influencers are taking notice, and not all of them are as successful. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but obviously some of the products are more controversial this year, caused more of drama. However, what I thought was funny is everyone knows this story. If you a broke boy, just say so, blah, blah, blah. But what you don't know is there was a much, much bigger version of this scandal over in China, where this year, the same problem happened, where an influencer, Li Jiaqi, was trying to live stream sell an $11 beauty item. Somebody said, why is it so expensive? And he kind of berated them for saying, why don't you work harder? And it led to some real problems. 720 million tuned in to watch his apology. It eventually turned into a meme where the price of this item, which is 79 yuan, became colloquial term for vast wealth because he said it's not that much or whatever. And then companies started pricing their product at $11, basically at 79 yuan, and saying it's incredibly wealthy, incredible value. And then everyone started jumping on it and making money, and people started buying it, and it ended up turning into a profitable thing for other companies. And then another meme started, in his original stream that got him in trouble. He basically said he held this up and said it's not that expensive. People took that line and that face and then put it over every expensive thing. They ran that bit all rest of the year. It was they had a field day. And that shows the dangers of influencer products and marketing is it can go wrong quick because of how rabid and powerful the fans are. As we approach, though, some of the broader and bigger stuff of the year, I have to get the obvious one out of the way. The one we need to get out of the way here as we approach the end.
Barbie-mania is taking over from cafes to skincare. There's even a reported global shortage of Barbie's pink paint.
Obviously, if you make a extremely well-received movie that is all about a brand, the brand will do well. And it did. Sales of the actual Barbie doll surged, and that's not really a new playbook. They just executed it really well. However, there is a darker side to this story story. There is a fail here. Barbie may have made a lot of money and helped sell Barbie dolls, but Oppenheimer, while the movie did all right, the amount of nukes in the world went down in 2023. Yikes! Bro, we did not move any units on that. Kind of a massive L there, Oppie. But at the end of the day, all of this marketing, all of this year, did any of it work? I mean, does any of this marketing stuff actually matter, or is it all kind of just bullshit, all right? I don't know. But I can tell you that at least one campaign that I talked about today did work. Eat me, Atrioc! Eat me! I can't wait to get in! Oh, don't mind if I do! I don't like those too long. That's good. But if you enjoyed, like I do, thanks for watching, and wait for an entirely full year of